going to primarily talk about TexitCoin. Terry and I, in case you don't know our backgrounds, we have done community education for crypto projects in the past. We're a huge fan of crypto, but it's something you got to be really paying attention to. We're covering Texit today in a big way because we have founder Bobby Gray on here. Most of the time, people are looking to get into alternative currencies because of this graph right here, which is the dollar, which is about as useless as toilet paper at this point. I wanted to bring these things up for you. I'm gonna have to have my glasses on for this one. I thought this was kind of funny because one of the popular cryptos out there is XRP. We're all hearing it. It's in the news, things like that. And I pulled up the 6-month comparison chart between Texit and XRP, and it's absolutely insane. We're 6 months, both comparatively 6 months. XRP has grown 15%. TexitCoin has grown 1,200%. So that's pretty good. We lost Bobby. That's okay. I'll keep running through and hopefully he'll jump back on. Overall, in 1 year, this has grown over 4,700%, which is absolutely staggering. And Texit is basically a crowdfunding project. I think you're going to have to understand it than it has to be. It's a crowdfunding project of a blockchain mine. And what's cool is there's real miners out here. When I first heard about this, I have the home office and where these things are being built currently. I know there's an expansion going on already. Is in McKinney, Texas. I sent my brother-in-law to drive over there. He snuck in. I told him to go without asking permission, and he showed up. And Bobby's wife, she did say she was packing a piece when she saw a stranger pull up, which is Texas all the way. So I love it, which is great. But there's real miners out there, and the mines are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So now we've got the goo going in these big containers, these fog hash containers. I don't know any of this, can't explain it to you. I just wanted to roll by some of this through for you. Also, a lot of you are out there. This is an old slide from a lot of the billboards that originally originated to get the attention of what Texas was all about. Now Bobby's spending some big money. We're talking big, big money on signage, digital signage. And these are pictures from the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. Got them running in Houston, got them running in Austin. People are getting their cars wrapped. People are driving McLarens as they can because stuff happens. Other ones are getting wrapped. I mean, it's insane. Now, one of the cool parts, because this is what we're jumping into right now, that's why I talk fast, is because Bobby Gray's got a great track record of being kind of a pioneer in alternative currency and basically helping to get honest money out there. Spoke over 10 years ago, I think it was 2018, if I remember correctly, in front of Congress with Rand Paul.
2012, long ago.
Way back there. Was also recently in Vegas, spoke at the hydro efficiency. No, it was the Bitmart conference, which is like the miners that create that. He spoke there. I actually was in that room at that time in Vegas. And recently you spoke at Ron Paul's birthday party. It was really awesome. This is all these videos you can look up on YouTube, which is amazing and just fantastic. So we're excited to have you on here. I got my good friend Terry Tillard on here. Terry and I have done this for a long time. And I want Terry to kind of say hi because Terry's the guy that said something to me about Texit. And I trusted him because of his really deep experience in crypto. And so, Bobby, we're excited to have you on here. Obviously, Terry Tillard, why don't you say a few words and we're going to throw it over to the man himself.
Cool. Well, thanks again for having me on, Mike. It's always a pleasure. We love doing this kind of community content, kind of podcast format, keep it informal. And I always love getting to interview the principals, the leaders of the groups, to hear it from the quote unquote horse's mouth. Bobby, nothing personal, of course. Sorry for the farm animal reference, but we're excited to be here. I like hearing about the vision. I like asking those questions. We're not legal advisors or financial advisors, but we do want to talk about hypotheticals, about visions, about maybe comparative analysis to other market cap projects. And we most importantly want to talk about honest money. I've been an advocate for honest money for several decades, long before Bitcoin came out. So this is not a new conversation for me either. And so that's one of the things that really intrigued me when I heard Bobby being a compatriot, if you will, for honest money. And so it's just a great conversation. So Bobby, talk to us. We kind of know where we're at right now, but we also want to talk about the future of where we're going. Maybe we start by giving people like a real short snapshot of why is Texit? Why did you start it? And then we can get into where we're going in the future, where we're at in the project today, and start talking about the next milestones and the like.
Well, we've definitely come a real long way from where we were the last time we got together and had a video update. I mean, I look at this project and my mind is blown about the acceleration, the growth, the excitement, the momentum that it's got. I mean, when you sit down and you put your business plan together and you write these things down, you plan for them, you hope for them, and then when you actually see them materialize as well as or better than you originally hoped, it's kind of breathtaking. You know, you try not to be too surprised because obviously we needed to be successful in order for this to work. But watching it play out real time is just, I mean, it's mind blowing and it's breathtaking and it's really pleasurable. I'm having a great time. I'm having time in my life. I know that a lot of people have experienced an amazing change in his or her life. You know, there are great stories pouring in from all over the globe now. You know, we thought this was going to be a Texas thing, then it was an American thing, and all of a sudden we've got communities popping up in Italy and Spain and New Zealand, Australia. So all over the world, people are attracted to that conversation of honest money. And that's what I spoke about a couple weeks ago at the Ron Paul birthday barbecue. It's like, you know, TexitCoin is what happens when the financial technology that is cryptocurrency gets paired up with something as important as honest money. When you put those two concepts together, you have something that's going to bring together people from all walks of life. And we're seeing that play out real time, and it's unbelievable. So, you know, I'd like to think that I planned all this exactly to happen just this way, but even I get surprised every once in a while as well. So where are we today? Today's a big day because one of the slides that you had up in the show a moment ago is the delivery of our first container. And that's a big deal because two things, really. Number one is when I started this thing, it was a bunch of guys drinking coffee on a Saturday morning in a garage with a couple racks full of these L3 Bitmain, you know, miners screaming, making all kinds of heat. We didn't really know what we were doing. And we were just a bunch of guys getting together, talking crypto and talking about this project that we thought could turn into something really great. That's where it started last April. Where we are today is 10 acres of land on big power in Victoria, Texas. Our first BC40 from Fog Hashing, the world leader in immersion cooling technology, something we learned some time ago. The world leader is putting down our very first BC40. Now that's a 40-foot shipping container that holds 200 of the top of the line ASICs. I mean, not the bargain basement stuff, not the stuff that we're barely able to afford picking up used in the secondary market off eBay, but the top of the line from the best manufacturers, the best equipment. This is what we've crowdsourced now. And so it's getting installed right now. It's probably going to be about 3 or 4 weeks before we actually can like flip the switch and turn it on. But this is a major milestone for us, not just because it shows you how far we've come since then, but we keep telling people the focus of our project is to build a mine. And until they see this impressive thing being built, they're going to always be skeptical. And fair enough, because so many projects have come before us that have endeavored to do what we're doing, but never got there. And so to see our first container hit the ground, get dropped into place is really cool, man. It's not just a statement of how far we've come, but it's an indication that our job is to follow through with the promises and commitments we've made to our community, which have put their cash on the line to be a part of something revolutionary. And so every step we take to prove that we follow through, whether it's paying out commission on time every week, or it's building the mine, or it's promoting the coin like you put up there with the airport advertising and the billboards, you know, every time we have an opportunity to show the receipts, to come back to our community and say, we did it. We told you we were going to do 3 things. We paid the commissions. We built the mine. We promoted the coin. It's really encouraging because that's what helps to fuel the momentum and the excitement. You know, it's like in 2025, all of a sudden doing what you say you're going to do is a bit revolutionary. And so great. Sure, let's be the guys that follow through. Let's be the guys that hold each other accountable. Let's be the guys that watch each other's backs. Let's be the guys that promote across teams, across groups, not caring, you know, did you sign up with this guy or that guy? Opening up rooms and hotels and restaurants and living rooms to anyone and everyone that wants to get out and be passionate about the same thing that I've cared about for 18 years, you've cared about for decades, honest money. That's what this is at the heart of this project. And the fact that we have the ability to follow through in such a big way every day now, today being, you know, a huge milestone, is just really great. So that's how far we've come. Last week we brought in $5 million.
We're going to interrupt you.
What's that?
Yep. I just wanted you to clarify one thing, Bobby. I think is important. This is not the first set of mining equipment that goes live. This is the first big on-premise separate container from the original equipment and stuff. So I just wanted to clarify for people that this hasn't been waiting.
Yeah, no, we've been live for a while, but the first chart on our dashboard of statistics that shows exactly how we're doing, and the statistics are updated real time, up to the minute. The first chart on that site shows how much power we've sold and how much power we're currently operating at. And it's a top priority for that chart to show a third set of data, which is how much hash power we've purchased. And so if you guys are tuned in on the Telegram channel, you know that every week we close out on Saturday, and by Monday morning, first thing, we're buying the hash power that was either purchased or awarded through our referral program last week. We're paying for that. We're showing the receipts. And, it takes us a couple days to get that hardware in. It takes us even longer for us to install that hardware. We've been maxed out right now with the immersion cooling technology. So now that this BC40 container is going into place, we can drop the 200 ASICs that are sitting at our factory right now, just waiting to get installed, so that chart on the website shows how much we've purchased, how much we've sold, and how much we're actually running at. And those, we want them to be very close together, because that, again, that's the indication to our community that we followed through. We didn't just buy the equipment. We didn't just get the equipment, but we installed the equipment. And it's hard work. It's time consuming. It's expensive. It requires, skill sets across the board, from land acquisition, leasing, and power distribution, and all kinds of stuff. So, it's a job. And I know why the guys that tried to do this in the past failed, because it's not easy. And when you get to that point in the road where you're like, well, do I take the easy way out and keep the cash and take care of myself, or do I do it the hard way, as we've always done, and follow through on the commitment? These are the things that are designed not just to make our project successful, but to also keep me out of jail, which is like a real top priority for me. And so again, to see that happen, to go from, a couple L3s on a rack to a couple L7s in a bathtub to a container full of L9s, the top of the line technology, it's really fun to watch. And it's just getting easier and easier and easier as we get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Hey, Bobby, we're so grateful. I think I know I'm just speaking for myself, but the whole community is, we get nothing but positive feedback of how transparent you are because everybody, in case you don't know this, if you're part of Texit, you have a back office, and Bobby does private Zooms every Tuesday with just the miners, where he pays commissions live. He shows all the updates going on. He shows what's going on. People, I need you to invite 2 more people. I want to break 1,000 people, by the way. I see 9. There it is. I did it. Thank you.
I got 1,000 people on this live.
1,000 live right there. Yeah.
Midday.
Well, I took it. I got a picture. I got a proof. I want to show you. Sorry, I got all excited about that. So you can see it.
That's on the awesome. Live, midday. That's perfect.
Because I felt a little responsible, because I told Bobby, he's like, you want to do this, want to do a live? And I'm like, yeah, we'll have over 1,000 people on there. So, whoo, thank you guys.
Here we are.
But anyhow, I titled this one because a lot of people obviously are part of Texit already. There's lots of information already out there of people that can watch videos and understand what this really is. The title of this one was, you had an idea about some new math, because in case anybody doesn't recognize my voice, I'm the guy who did the Path to 16 that's kind of gotten pretty viral in the company. And that to me, that's amazing. The $16 mark. And again, we're not making projections. We're not guaranteeing incomes, anything like that. But you had texted, said, I wanted to talk to you guys, and obviously the community, about some potential new math that you had. And I want us to make sure we stay on that path, because this, to me, a lot is going to get people's attention. And again, crypto is risky. Read the disclaimers going on the bottom, things like that. You're going to have to do your own due diligence. This isn't a get rich quick. We're not investing. We're not saying ROI, none of that stuff. So disclaimer. So Bobby, go ahead.
Well, we can make some projections. We can make some guesses as to what the future has in store for us based on a couple different things. One is based on how we've done historically and the growth that we see on the charts on the website. Obviously, what we've done in the past doesn't indicate what's going to happen in the future, but it gives us at least, a little bit of a window. We could also look at other leaders in the cryptocurrency space that have done things similar to what we're doing right now and use them at least as a point of reference for comparison. But it's really important to pause for a moment and do this work because we're in the middle right now. We're in the middle of the work. And when you look at the spectrum of doing a project like this, in the beginning, the guys that get involved in the garage, with the screaming L3s, they do it because it's risky, it's fun, and it's like buying that lottery ticket when the Powerball's showing up at $1 billion. It's like you kind of have a feeling like you're not going to win, but YOLO, why not? And then you start opening tabs on the browser about what you would buy if you hit, and you go through that fun exercise. That's what happens in the beginning. In the beginning, the first 5% of the people that get in on a deal like this are doing it because what if? What if it really works? I got $1,000 to throw at it. Why not? The guys that get in all the way at the end, the last 5%, do it because it's a sure bet. They do it because it's a limited opportunity. There's only 1 million seats on the rocket ship. And when you look at the things we have going for us at the end, we talk about the last seat on the rocket ship. Of course, you would want to be on our team. When we've got $200 million in cash for promotion, we've got $100 million of liquidity. We're on top exchanges. We're like just giant community, the largest community outside of Bitcoin. Like when you look at the things that we have going for us towards the end, you go, of course, I'd like to be on that team. People are like, why would anyone buy the last seat on the rocket ship? I mean, there's no referral opportunity. There's no bonuses. There's no rewards. I'm thinking the last seat on the rocket ship is going to sell for so much. We might have to auction it off or give it to charity or something. But the point is that like in between those ends of the spectrum, when it's, all about the big risk or it's all about, being part of a successful project, in the middle is the work. And when you get into the work thing, people, they want to understand what they're doing every day and the fact that it's leading towards, a conclusion that they desire and like and would be happy with. And so all we have to do is kind of pause for a moment and remind ourselves what that last seat on the rocket ship would look like. And we go, oh, okay. And so, the motivation and the incentives, they don't really change or shift over time, but we lose sight of the forest for the trees, so to speak, if that makes any sense. And so every once in a while, I pause and I go, let me just do the math one more time. Let me make sure, based on what we've learned and the numbers we're seeing and the real data that's coming in, day out, let's double check some of these basic premises that we worked with in the beginning to give ourselves a value. And so when you start a new cryptocurrency, it's like, well, what's it worth? Where do we price it? Do we price it at 0.000000001, or do we price it at like $4,800 per coin? There's no guidebook on how to do it. There's no rule. There's no example for exactly the right way to do it because successful projects have come out on both sides. And so what I did when I started TexitCoin, and as I said, is it possible to make a correlation between the size of the mine and the value of the coin? And of course, every proof of work coin you look like that's successful, that's made it, has that correlation. So the bigger the mine gets, the more valuable the coin becomes. And that's where I started when I said, we're going to build $1 billion coin. We don't want to be on page 38,000 of CoinMarketCap forever. We want to be a top 100 coin. And when you look at the other top 100 coins, you laugh and you go, well, we'll be up there with Bonk Coin and Dogwif Hat and Pepe Coin and Shiba Coin. I mean, these things that are just flat out jokes. We want to be on that same list with these other, top 100 coins. And so it's a little bit laughable at first, but then you look at it and you say, okay, well, how do I get there? And the model that almost everybody else uses is the pump and dump or the influencer model. We go out there, we pay the right people, they say nice things about us on their YouTube channels or Instagrams, and voila, we've got, a top 100 coin. The challenge with that is you don't stay there very long. Once, the pop culture people stop talking about you, your coin kind of tumbles back down and it never recovers. It's very rare that a pumped coin ever sees a second chance to go all the way to the top. And so when I started thinking about value and long-term roots, things going deep to give us real credibility, not just as a quick flash in the pan, I started looking at building this mine. And we build the mine for a lot of different reasons. It gives us control. It gives us something that is made in America. It gives us something that actually follows through on proof of work's promise. So I don't want to get too much into that now, but I want to talk about the correlation between the size of our mine and the value of our coin. And so, like you mentioned in the video that you created about the path to 16, we've got an extremely well documented, well formulated, well researched strategy on how we go from brand new, nobody likes us, nobody knows us, nobody trusts us, to $1 billion coin. And that's all based on the growth of our community. So as our community grows and more people throw that cash in to help crowdfund this project, our pockets get a little deeper and we buy more mining equipment and we install that mining equipment. And then we have more cash to put out there for promotion and marketing. And so we're seeing all those things come together. We also do a couple other things with the cash, pay our team and our development guys, but we additionally put cash into our own liquidity. So I published a chart, I call it the path to 16, and it shows as our cash comes in and we set aside money for liquidity, we are able to go onto the market and buy back our own coins at a particular price. And so we nudge the price of the coin up a little bit, and then we step back. We step back and observe and see if the market agrees in any way whatsoever with what we're doing. And it's really important that people understand that this chart is based on a combination of what I call Gresham's law, which is the idea that bad money pushes good money out of the marketplace. It's the model that I used for the Liberty Dollar and the American Open Currency Standard that made it work so well. And the second part is something called Metcalfe's law that says that the power of a network becomes exponentially valuable as the size of the network increases, right? So you can research both of those things and you can learn more about them on the Path to 16 article. But I was getting into that and I said, you know, a lot of people are looking at this and saying, Bobby's absolutely crazy for shutting this thing down at 100 million mega hash. A million seats, like we're just getting cooking. You know, there are tens, hundreds of millions of people, you know, tens of millions of people in the US, hundreds of millions of people around the globe that love this type of, you know, growth model. Why would we ever shut it down at 1 million seats? And the idea of shutting it down comes from kind of a couple things. The biggest two, number one, are setting a goal, reaching it, and stopping. You know, anytime you're building something, you always want to know where you want to get, and you want to make sure that you never go too far. The Bitcoin mining network today is estimated to be 10,000 plus times bigger than it needs to be in order to effectively process the transactions that are taking place on that network. People are writing terrible stories about how inefficient and how much energy consumption is being, you know, drawn by this incredible beast that's called Bitcoin mining that has no end in sight. And so as we build this efficient network, we want to say we want it to be this big. We don't need to get any bigger. We need it to be big enough to register on the global scale and the global conversation. We need it to be big enough and reliable enough, robust enough, decentralized enough that it's able to process the transactions that are taking place on the network, the layer twos and the other, you know, mission critical applications like community currencies. But we don't need it to be so big that it's on this runaway train that's just burning inefficiently through power. We don't need that. So we say, okay, if we're able to build this 100 million mega hash mine, are we able to make an assumption or a projection based on anything else that's out there? And that's where I stop and I pause and I look at Litecoin and Doge. Most people don't know, but Litecoin and Doge both share the same backbone infrastructure, the same mining infrastructure to power those two coins. And so we're building a mine today that's going to be about 5% of the size of the Litecoin Doge network. And because there's a correlation between the size of the mine and the value of the coin, I think it's fair to say that if we build a mine that's big enough and reliable enough that the world's going to use it, and we get to the point where we're 5% of the size of Litecoin Doge, and not just 5% of the size, but we're taking 5% of the Litecoin Doge blocks to pay our electric bill, essentially giving us like free TexitCoin. Is it fair to say that we would be worth 5% of Litecoin and Doge combined? And so we look at the value of Litecoin, pull it up right now in the open market. Where are we at today? Litecoin is number 20 today with an $8.7 billion value. And Doge today is $32.9 billion value. So if I get out my calculator and I say 32.9 plus, what do we say, 8.7? 8.7 is a combined value of $41.6 billion, and multiplying that by 5% will give TexitCoin a $2 billion value if my math is right and fair, right? And so I'm saying we get to $16. If we do that by February of 2026, that puts us at about $1 billion value with a $16 per coin value. So I'm estimating half of what the Litecoin Doge network is, even though we're 5%, right? So again, that's where my math begins. My math says there's a strong correlation between size of mine, value of coin. If Litecoin Doge would share the same backbone, are, a $41.6 billion coin, and we're 5% of that, we should be at a $2 billion coin. That would put us at 32. So that would put us double of what my initial projection is for February 2026. I always like to be conservative. I always like to underpromise and overdeliver, but that's a best guess as what we could be or should be worth based on the correlation between size of the mine and value of the coin by February of 2026. Does the math make sense so far?
Yes. But I can't
Questions,
believe it's shocking to hear you talk about Doge.
Poke holes in the theories, guys. I'm looking for the Achilles here. So healed. So tell me where I'm off.
No, that's very reasonable. But hearing you talk about the size of Doge relative to Litecoin is just insane. Just to even hear it out loud like that. But no, everything you're saying is conservative and reasonable, of course.
We saw the first shipping container, the first BC40, getting dropped into place today. It'll be a couple of weeks before the power company cross connects the grid to our container, and we flip that switch and turn it on. But that's a 1 megawatt installation. We'll have 35 of them when this thing is said and done. Okay, number one. Number two is we've got the next 3 containers already on order and on the way. We've got a site in Mansfield for the next one. We've got a site that we're looking at in Houston right now for the 3rd one, or maybe the 4th one. I'm not sure which one is going where. And then we're hoping to upgrade the McKinney one to a full megawatt as well, right on the back of my yard, where the brother-in-law drove by that one day to check out the little bathtub full of ASICs. And so we'll have 35 of these, but they're going to be scattered all over the state to make us incredibly big, incredibly decentralized, incredibly supportive of the communities that we're going out and reaching out to do business with, and cognizant of the requirements and the limitations of the power grid. And so we're working with all these different variables to build out this robust network. We saw the first one getting dropped in place today. 34 more are coming. And that'll put us at 5% of the size of Litecoin Doge. Not anything to sneeze at. And tell me that the crypto community can ignore us when we're taking 5% of the Litecoin Doge blocks every single day. Who's getting our blocks? Some guys in Texas will go take their blocks. Oh, you can't. You can't mine our coin. We can take yours, but you can't take ours. That's what a permission coin does for you. I don't want to get into the permission versus permissionless thing right now. We should do another call about that. But we've got some really great arguments as to why permission is the way to go. All right, now, here's the big moment. You ready? I want to pause for a moment, and I want to remind you and everyone else that 100 million mega hash, 1 million seats, $16 a coin, $1 billion value is only the beginning. Do we hear banging right now? Got construction here.
Okay.
Let me say that one more time if we need a good clip of this. $16 a coin, 100 million mega hash, $1 billion value, 150, 250,000 people in our community. It's exclusively the beginning. It's not the end. It's the proof of concept. And you guys are right in saying that Bobby Gray would be absolutely crazy if he shut it down and walked away from this momentum and the growth. You're right. I would be crazy. And guess what? I'm going to shut it down. But that's only so that we can move on and do something else somewhere else next. Now, I don't want to get too deep into exactly what the details are right now for one very specific reason. I want us to stay laser focused on the goal that we have in hand. The goal that we have in front of us, which is almost so close to us right now that we couldn't miss the target even if we tried. That number, by the way, is 50%. I will give everybody not just more details along the way, but what exactly we're talking about when we get to 50%. Right now, we're at 7. Okay, but as we start going like this and doubling and doubling and doubling, that 50% mark shows up very soon. And then we're 1 or 2 months away from filling the seats and being done. So I don't want us to lose focus until the target is so close to us that we couldn't miss even if we tried. But I want to tell you, and I want to remind our friends our mining community that this is just the beginning. This is proof of concept. Not only did we prove that it works and a bunch of ordinary people can do something absolutely extraordinary, but we're rewriting how decentralized mining proof of work coins can efficiently operate around the globe. Yep. I'll leave you just kind of with that. But use your imagination for a moment. And imagine we do it really well here. And the rest of the world goes, well, what about us? And we say, well, hold on a second. What if we did this 4 more times? What if we did it in Southeast Asia, the largest growing population center on planet Earth today? What if we did it in Africa? What if we did it in South America? What if we did it in Eastern and Northern Europe? What if we did it in places that were pro-crypto, pro-mining, pro-business, pro-entrepreneurism? What if we did it with communities that wanted to take this novel concept of growth that we have with this, relationship-based marketing, and we did this 4 more times? And now we go from this 100 million megahash mine here in Texas to a 500 million megahash mine that's scattered around the globe. And we start to look at the numbers and we say, well, now we're 25% of Litecoin Doge. But let's compare ourselves to where we are in the Bitcoin conversation. Because Litecoin's number 20, Doge is number 9. I'm not settling for number 20 or number 9. In fact, if you remember, we talked about this little asterisk that we have at the end of our valuation concepts and the fact that we're a permission blockchain. And I said, it's not really an apples to apples comparison with Litecoin Doge because we're a permission blockchain. Permissioned means you can't just join us and jump in and start mining and or taking our coins without permission. And I said, is there any other coin out there in the global conversation that's a permission blockchain that the world values and takes seriously? And I started scouring the top 100. I'm like, tell me there's something somewhere on the top 100 that's permissioned that I can use as like a point of reference to get rid of that little asterisk that's on the tail end of this projection. And imagine my surprise to find out that XRP, number 3, is a completely permission blockchain, 100% pre-mined. You can't mine it. It's centrally controlled. They release XRP into the marketplace however they like. To me, it sounds a bit like a CBDC, especially when you start looking into the fact that it's for the banks. It's for interbank transfers.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm not really sure why people are so excited about XRP. I mean, yeah, okay, the price is probably going to continue to go up. I don't know. But this sounds a whole lot like a CBDC to me. But then when I started thinking about it, I'm like, man, you know what? We got the best of both worlds combined. We got a permission network that can't be outmined by China. And we got a mineable coin, which average ordinary people can jump into, put a couple bucks in, and they can start having their share of the reward. We've got the best of both worlds. And when I looked at that, and I took my value of 41.6 billion for Litecoin Doge, and I added on top of it, little XRP there at number, what is it? I'm refreshing my page. We're at number 3 with $177.8 billion value. Total of $219 billion value between those coins. And if we're able to do that, let's say by the time we have, 100 million coins, divide that number by 100 million, that would put the price of TexitCoin, 219 billion divided by 100 million. Sorry, my calculator put us at $2,190 a coin. And that's a big projection. I know it's fantastical, but this whole project has been fantastical so far, and it's all kind of worked exactly the way we thought. And so again, without getting ahead of ourselves and looking you in the eye and saying guarantee and stupid things like that, I can tell you that this is the best of both worlds. What makes XRP great? It's got great leadership. It's got a great mission. So does TexitCoin. We've got the best mission of all. We're not here for the banks. We're here for the people. There's a lot more people out there than there are bankers. That's for sure. So I can make a plausible argument that TexitCoin should be as valuable as Litecoin, Doge, and XRP combined. If we do that by year 3, we're at a $2,190 per coin number. Okay. But that's when started thinking about this global expansion idea. If we've got a network and the network is built in Texas and the Texas grid goes down as it has struggled in the past with Snowvid-19 or whatever we call it, wouldn't it be great if we had a backup on the other side of the world? I created this thing that I call cross mining. We've heard of merge mining. That's where we're mining Litecoin and Doge to pay our electric bill. What about cross mining? What if we had a partner on the other side of the globe and it was running the same technology, but it was mining its own coin? We're mining our own coin and we're supporting each other's networks at the same time. They get to keep all of their coins. We get to keep all of our coins, but now we have, opposite ends of the globe redundancy. And if we do that 4 more times or 3 times on top of that, and we have 5 100 million megahash mines that are built with regional support, with regional champions, with buy-in from, the locals all across the world, where would we be in terms of the Bitcoin output? And I put a little chart together to actually check how much power Bitcoin network is using. And it's kind of mind-blowing and staggering, right? We have to get away from the hash because 500 million mega hash with Litecoin Doge is a different kind of algorithm than Bitcoin uses. They use a different technology. So we got to use power consumption as our least common denominator. And the Bitcoin network right now is using something like 12,780 megawatts of power. Now, that's if everybody that was mining Bitcoin was using the best hardware available on the market today, which of course they're not. They're using all kinds of different stuff that they've acquired over the last couple of years. But if we built 35 megawatts of power, like the one container uses, we have 35 of them, and we build that 35 megawatts 5 times around the globe, we're at 175 megawatts of power. Okay, so then we look at it and we say, okay, the Bitcoin network consumption is at 12,780. And that would put us at a percentage of the Bitcoin mining total. And the Bitcoin network difficulty just dropped a whole bunch. I did my numbers the other day. But at the numbers where I am today, based on real world actual usage at this very moment right now, if we build that 35 megawatts and we did it 5 times, put us 175 megawatts. If we divide that into the total network consumption of Bitcoin, it would put us at about a $1,650 per coin value. And so we can look at that number one way from the front. We can look at it another way from the back. And again, that's just my quick math right now, going through and trying to figure out how likely it is that if we produce a mine that's so big, but it's a percentage of the size of the mine of Bitcoin, how fair is it to estimate that we could have a particular value by end of year 3, maybe going into year 4 as we build out that mine all that way? So the big takeaways are, number one, $16 is just the beginning. Building our 100 million mega hash mine here in the state of Texas is just the beginning. We're proving out our concept. As we look at international diversification, and again, I don't want to get too far into the details now, but as we look at establishing relationships with friends and countries around the globe to show the whole world how to build a powerful, decentralized, robust, by the people, for the people network, we can look at that not just as a comparison of Litecoin Doge, but also as a comparison for the Bitcoin network itself, which will be, the digital gold to our digital silver as we get to that point. So the numbers are constantly shifting and changing. That's why it's an important thing to do this math, frequently. Because when I started out building this network in the first place, I was shooting to be 10% of the size of Litecoin Doge. Then the Litecoin Doge network doubled. And so we need to continue to have a growth mindset, not just continue diversification and making sure that our mission critical network is built supporting people around the globe that are going to use this project, but also that we're keeping up with the latest trends, the latest, hardware that's coming out, and the other things that are happening in the industry. Like, we don't want to be isolating ourselves on an island somewhere and, throwing rocks and stuff at the other guys. We want to be working with the community. We want to be participating and contributing to the success of the overall cryptocurrency community. So we need to do these numbers again and again and again. Sometimes we get them, we'll be at $2,500. Sometimes we get them, we'll be at $1,500. But the point is, we're not staying at 16. 16 just proves that what we're doing is working, that it was good, that people like it, people trust it, people are willing to pull out some of their hard-earned cash to become involved with it. And as we prove that out, and as we build that here in the US, and as we're making friends all over the world, we're looking for other ways to make our network redundant, reliable, robust. And this is just the beginning at $16.
Bobby, a couple questions. I see someone keeps asking if it's fixed supply or inflationary. It is fixed supply, and we are not at full dilution yet. We are still distributing tokens on a daily basis. So in case you're wondering, Bobby, another question always comes up, and you've done an incredible job, unparalleled job on the brand awareness side. If you want to create a currency, you need various market participants. You need that brand awareness. You need all these different elements. And you're doing a fantastic job in that department, and we trust going to continue to do so. Can you talk to us a little bit on the utility side of a little bit about your vision, and maybe an update also of where this community currency that you and I have talked about in the past is kind of at, and how that could also have a dramatic impact on where we go in terms of value?
Well, I can give you a lot of updates in that regard. First, let's remind everybody that our utility is to pick up where Bitcoin left off. When Bitcoin started, it was a currency, it was digital, it was decentralized, it was peer-to-peer, it was money for the internet. And that mission was largely abandoned when the price took off and people got excited by the memes and the NFTs and all the other things that you could do with blockchain technology. I remember that discussion happening in like 2017, 2018, where people said, no, it's not Bitcoin, it's blockchain. That's the part that matters. And of course, those people are right. Blockchain means transparency. Blockchain means accountability, means proof. And so anything that you build with blockchain technology is going to be more honest, more open, more transparent than anything else. And of course, that can have profound impact on all kinds of different industries. But the biggest thing of all, the number one utility for blockchain technology is money. The reason people are getting into crypto is because they're discovering that cryptocurrency gives us the world's most accountable monetary system. How many dollars are out there? I don't know. How many did they make every day? I don't know. Where do those dollars go? I don't know. We know exactly with TexitCoin, with Bitcoin, with any proof of work coins, exactly how many there are, who gets them, what you have to do to get them. It's just a matter of throwing ASICs and energy and cash at it, and you can have your own fair share as well. And so with crypto, we've got the most honest, accountable monetary system on planet Earth. That's the most important utility. It's the one that the Bitcoin bros forgot because the banks kind of came in and said, whoa, we got this. Let us take care of the money. We're so good at it. Okay. And so TexitCoin is bringing that utility back. Digital, decentralized, peer-to-peer currency. Now, the way that we're doing it is by building the mining infrastructure, the process of the transactions, and then rolling out our layer twos on top of that network to function as community currencies, again, that are regionally, built by small towns across the state of Texas. McKinney is the largest downtown cultural district that we've got in the state. There are 300 other ones like it that are members of the Texas Downtown Association. Just this past week, we were at the first roundtable. We're now the title sponsor of the Texas Downtown Association. We're the big sponsor of the upcoming convention in Waco this November. And so this is our connection with the community, right? And so we get lots of questions about, like, is it a security? Is it this? Is anyone going to shut it down? How could they shut down the Made in America blockchain that's powering hundreds of community currencies across the state of Texas initially, and community currencies across the country? I mean, we're going to have friends in cities and councils and chambers of commerce and municipalities across the country that are building a tool that's designed to get money to their local downtown small businesses and keep that money there. We're going to have friends everywhere. Why? Because that's what honest money does. Honest money is attractive, and it creates long relationships, long, good, deep connections, good, deep roots, right? And so that was a major breakthrough that just happened this past week. And so we're going to continue knocking on those doors. We talked to 80 mayors last weekend that said, our number one challenge is getting money downtown and keeping it there. We're trying to build out people's third space. They live at home, they live at work, and they live in their communities. And we want that money to come to downtown. We want it to stay there. We said, we have exactly what you need. And they say, when can you roll it out? Who's up next? So give us a little bit. We're still building the mine. We've got to get the mine big enough where it can support mission critical applications. That's what's so important about building this mine. People say, well, why would you just build this mine? You're just trying to get rich. Well, yeah, but we have to build the mine big enough to support a mission critical application. If we're running on one mine and one bathtub in my backyard and that thing goes down, as a weather event comes through, we can't tell 300 towns across the state of Texas that nobody's allowed to spend money. We need a robust network. Okay, so we know that. We're building that. As we roll out into phase 2, as the network gets bigger and more reliable, now we can start the actual utility, which is community currencies that are built on the TXC blockchain. And so that's where we're going with utility. Now, TXC is always going to be valuable. It's always going to be marketable, but we're trying to get communities to use the layer 2 because it gives them a stable coin opportunity. So they don't have to worry about the fluctuation in the value. Anything that's going to be used as money needs to have a stable value. And so while TexitCoin is kind of doing its thing in the market, that's where those layer 2 community currencies are holding their value and making it easy for businesses or consumers and businesses to do business with each other without having to pay 3% to the banker every time somebody taps their card.
That's awesome. Hey,
are there any updates?
I want to show everybody. I got to just shout out to the people for coming through. Can you see
where
that?
Are we at? What's
1,056 live. So
thank you guys. Tuesday? Today Tuesday? Is that right?
Yeah, we're on a Tuesday afternoon doing this, and that's how many people showed up.
1,056 people are as passionate about what has mattered to me right now, right here, at this moment in time. Good for everybody. Yeah, good for us. I bet you this video will hit 3,000 views by morning tomorrow. Because there's a lot of people that said they were at work. They're going to work replay. So same link. Great. We'll make another video again soon because there's we've come so far. I know. It's just amazing that this all started as a little twinkle in my eye, and now we've got 18,000 coming up on 19,000 miners in our community. Yep. Wild.
Did you ever see, Bobby? Did you see the prediction I had ChatGPT do?
Filling up the seats by February or March, is that right?
Yeah. I went through and I put all the numbers in from the month-to-month growth or week-to-week or whatever it was, month-to-month, and it had to project, and it's been close, but we're actually slightly ahead of it. It may even be faster if we keep up this pace. I think with something like this, an interview like this speeds this process up. So we're really appreciative of you being on here. I know we're almost an hour in, and you got another big Zoom tonight, so we don't want to take up a ton of your time because I know.
Well, like I said, look, anytime I have an opportunity to pause, reflect, go back through the math, double check my work, it's always very encouraging to look at it from a totally different angle and see that I come out at about the same place that I had predicted from a totally different point of view. And so, I want to remind people that we're building a mine. That's our project, right? What are we doing? Well, we got the referral thing. We got this thing. We're building a mine. We're building a redo. We're building a cryptocurrency second chance. We like proof of work because proof of work means we actually had to do something. We didn't just click, click, click and cook a trillion Huck 2 girl coins into existence. It means that we actually had to do something to produce what we had. And I like that, right? I like it from a building standpoint. I like it from a crowdsourcing standpoint. And I like it from a proof of work coin standpoint. So we're building a mine here in Texas. What are we doing with that mine? We're building out community currencies all across the state. Once we have that layer 2 done and the app is working, I'll be able to bring you metrics. How much money came into the city of McKinney? How much of that money left the next day after the fair left town? Who's the biggest community currency business supporter? How many times did this money exchange hands before it left? We're going to have such insight and metrics as to the success of our community currency that it's not going to be guesswork anymore. We're not going to say, yeah, we're going to do some community currency stuff. We'll know exactly what it is. I can't tell you who I sat down with yesterday. World famous, Grammy nominated country music artist who we're now talking to be the guy that's headlining the parties that we throw as we begin rolling out the community currencies. Just had lunch with him yesterday. I don't want to say the name. I don't want to jinx it. But the point, we want the city of McKinney to do this, okay? But we're not going to ask them to gamble with us. We're going to put our own cash into a party that the city of McKinney's never seen before. We're going to bring our own talent out. We're going to bring our own people. We'll bring our own vendors. Our goal is to bring $5 million into the city of McKinney for that one event. 100,000 people, $50 spend per person. I tried to do it before with copper tokens. It was impossible. Now with digital, I can roll the whole thing out and we can track it all instantaneously. My guess is 90% of that money will leave the next day, but 10% is going to stick around. And 10% of $5 million is $500,000. And if we can replicate that 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 times, and we can continue to grow that capital base that's sitting at a local credit union that's paying interest to us and the city, now all of a sudden there's a real financial cash incentive to get people to shop local and to keep that money local. And we don't know exactly what those numbers are yet, but that's the model that we're going with. That's the direction that this thing is going. And we need a network that's reliable to host it. Do we want to build on the Made in China blockchain? Or do we want to build on the Made in Texas blockchain? You tell me what you think Americans are going to want to build on when they see this robust, powerful network that we've built for us to use and take advantage of. That's what we've got coming our way. That's the utility. And it is just beginning at 16. It's just beginning when that first container is dropped into place. There's so much more coming. There's so much to be excited about. You're going to want that last seat on the rocket ship. Might as well get one now and earn some more along the way. But if you're not on the rocket yet and we go to you and we say, look, we're doing this thing. It was really risky back then. Today, yeah, if the lights go out, we're going to, be wondering when the zombies are going to take over. But we've got the momentum now. We've got the enthusiasm now. We've got local participation from municipalities now. We've got a lot going for us that we didn't have a year ago. And it is really fun. It is really cool to see it all come together.
Bobby, I think your numbers are a little off on only 10% from the community currency. I think that's being a little extra conservative, but I'm so excited for those metrics because to me, I don't think people realize that that's a model that can copy and paste. If we capture those metrics and those pilot projects are a success, it's massive. And maybe you could just remind people that the layer 2 is basically ready. I'll let you speak on that and that the apps and the software and the things. And also, I loved your idea about bringing people there so you have an incentive structure because people always shrug their shoulders. What if it's not adopted, right? But if you have some extra strategies to force that adoption.
No, we bring it.
Right.
That's right. We're not going to sit around and wait for people to come to our party. We're going to throw the party. We're going to invite them to the party. We're going to get them to the party. The layer 2 is done. But of course, until that container gets turned on, we're nowhere near big enough and reliable enough to roll out a currency. It's fun for us to trade if the network goes down or is a little slow. Not a big deal. But if, you're sitting there trying to buy a cup of coffee and your transaction is not going through, it's very frustrating. So the layer 2 is done. We rolled it out for the Ron Paul barbecue with the NFT that we did. And so that's in place. We're still working on the app and we've got a long way to go there, but it's the network now that really has to catch up to where we are today. As far as the number being off, I think you're right. The average, like the city of Addison or the city of McKinney, when they do a big event, they'll get an average ticket of $50. But what's going to happen with our app is we're going to give them a bonus if they pick up $100. If you get $100 of the layer 2, we'll give you a 5% bonus. So now somebody that normally would have spent $50 is going to spend $100, giving them 105 in tokens. And they maybe only are going to spend 40 of that. So that'll leave 50+% left over for them to come back and spend later. Think about it, right? You go to a fair, you got all these paper tickets. If you don't buy 8 funnel cakes on the way out the door, the tickets are worthless. But now if you know that you can come back on Tuesday night to the boutique, on Wednesday night to the Italian restaurant, and Friday night to the pub, like, why would you spend it all right now? It's totally safe. It's trusted by the guy down at the credit, or it's being cared for by the guy down at the credit union. And the longer you leave it in there, the more benefit it's creating for the city. So now you have got an incentive to actually not spend all of your worthless paper tickets on the way out the door. And as we are building that user base, we're able to go back to the community of people that are using the app and the layer 2 community currency and give them special offers and promotions and all kinds of things to keep them coming back to town. And so, yeah, man, I'm really excited to see how far off those numbers are. If 5 million goes in and 2.5 million sticks around and we're earning 4% on that a year, that's a huge upside just in terms of the cash that we've got to work with to maintain the community currency. So we've got different spin-offs like that inside of this ecosystem that are creating profitable opportunities for us and for you and for anybody else that has an idea that they want to build on the TXC blockchain.
Beautiful. Well, Bobby, you are obviously, we're about an hour. I know we're going to probably wind it down. You are welcome here anytime. Obviously, we want to have you on here. So anytime you
Well, I
get a
like coming
great
here so I
idea,
can flesh out these ideas. You know,
yes,
we've got a theory, and then I like to bring them to you in the community. You've got 1,000+ people that have eyeballs on this thing that can, you know, double check the math, look at the math your way, see where the holes are. Let's patch those holes. Let's plug them. You know, if we've got a fatal flaw, man, let's figure it out now, while we're still kind of in the early stages, so that we can have an opportunity to fix it and make it better.
beautiful. Terry, you got any closing comments? So we'll let. I want Bobby to make sure he comes back, so we're not going to keep him here all day.
I'm
Yeah,
just
we
warming up,
know you
guys.
got
This
other
is my
things.
favorite thing. I talk about this day and night in my dreams. I dream about TexitCoin. Right now, I've been busy the last couple of days out supercar shopping for the Game Over giveaway. I don't know if you guys are up to speed on that thing, but now it's just getting fun. Now the fun starts.
Beautiful. Terry, anything? Any last words?
No, I just want to thank you for your time as well, Bobby. We really appreciate it. We love having this dialogue. Let's do it again more frequently. I think it's been a little too long since we last did this, and it's been going great. And we'll let you cut loose because we got to build a community currency, and you also got to go live in a few hours. So
that's right. Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's really great to be here. Thanks for hearing me out. Thank you to the 1,000+ people that took time out of their day to tune in, and I'll see you guys in just a couple hours on tonight's call.
Awesome. Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate it.